Hello, and welcome to stringsavvy.com Violin Lesson number 2. Today we'll be covering some basic theory and then moving on to actually playing our instrument. In our last lesson, we talked about clapping and counting to 4. When we clapped and counted, each number was a beat. So 1, 2, 3, 4 was really 4 beats we were counting out. Today we're going to relate that to what you're actually seeing on the pages of essential elements. A quarter note is 1 beat of sound. Each time we have one of these, we will be playing a note. A quarter rest is a beat of silence. Each time we have one of these, we will play nothing. The staff is what holds all our music and organizes it in an easy-to-read fashion. There are 4 spaces and 5 lines, which I will go over in just a second. A bar line is what helps us separate the staff into pieces of easy-to-read music while also keeping time. The treble clef, that squiggly thing on the side, is basically a symbol that tells us the music written here is to be played in the range of pitches available to violin. Here are the lines of the staff, labeled E, G, B, D, F. To help us remember, we have a fun phrase. Starting from the bottom and moving up, every good boy does fine. A fellow teacher of mine uses the phrase, Ellis's guitar broke down Friday. Any acronym that you can come up with on your own is also fine to use. On the space of the staff, they spell out D, F, A, C, E, G. The middle spaces are easy to remember because they spell out the word face. When remembering mnemonic devices, and which one goes with what, remember that line is fine and space is face. Alright, now let's begin learning how to actually play the violin. Simply put your instrument right in front of you in what's called the basic guitar hold. You want to make sure your violin is parallel to the ground or slightly upward with your neck on the left side. Bring your right arm in front and actually let it rest over the instrument. Don't be afraid to come in front. You don't want to be coming on top or underneath, but right in front. Now, using just the side of your thumb here, go ahead and give the strings a quick brush. Once again, it's just the side right here in your thumb. You don't want to use the pad, just the side. Going over the string names, we have from highest to lowest, E, A, D, and G. Remember once again, E, A, D, G. Okay, so in your Essential Elements 2000 book, turn to page 4 and look at number 2, labeled Let's Play Open D. Now, each of these songs, before we play, I'm going to count out 4 beats, and then we'll begin the song. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4. D, 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 rest. D, 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 rest. D, 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 rest. Now you'll notice that as I'm doing this, I'm not letting my thumb come up and away, and I'm not bringing it straight down either. I'm giving it a light brush, just enough to get some sound, and then I'm resting it on the string below. Practice that a few times on your own. Now, number 3, let's play open A. Which one's the A string? Good. On the count of 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. A, rest. A, rest. A, rest. Alright, so on number 4, to the team, it's important to really know where your finger is. So, starting from the beginning, we have a measure of D, then a rest, measure of A, and D, A, D. So as you're doing this, be aware, okay, I play my D string, I'm on the A, and I'm on the E. Alright, starting 1, 2, 3, 4. D, 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 rest. A, rest. D, D, A, D, 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 rest. Very good. Number 5. D, 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 A, D, rest. A, rest. D, D, A, D, A, D. Did you play on the rest, or did you play silence? Let's try one more time. 1, 2, 3, 4. D, 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 A, D, rest. A, rest. D, D, A, D. Very nice. Moving on to number 7, mix them up. 1, 2, 3, 4. D, A, D, rest. A, D, A, rest. D, A, D, A, D, D, D. Very good. Now, at number 8, you see that they've added "and" in between each of the numbers. This is called subdividing. Similar to when you're jump roping, you kind of hop in between each jump. So let's begin counting and clapping. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Practicing this will help you keep a steady rhythm and also keep steady with plucking your instrument as well. Number 8. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and D and D and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Now at the end you also see a repeat sign. It's a double bar with 2 little dots. That tells us to go back to the beginning and play it again. But we want to play this without any pausing in the loop. Almost like a seamless loop or circle. So we're going to play it one more time, this time with a repeat. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and D, D, rest, rest. A, rest, rest. D, rest. A, rest. D, A, D, repeat, and D, D, rest, rest. A, rest, rest. D, rest, A, rest. D, A, D, rest. Very good. Number 9, you'll do on your own. Take special attention and watch where your rests are, and make sure you don't pause too long in the repeat. Also, while you're practicing these, make sure that you're actually looking at the music. Even though it's easy to remember and memorize these songs, it's important that you can actually make a visual cue in connecting the notes on the page to what you're doing with your fingers.